Hello everyone, it's George and I am back with another video. This time I'm going to be talking about something that absolutely no one asked me to do, but I think it's actually very interesting. And actually it's a very important thing, especially if you are a new player. In the case of if you're a veteran player, of course, you're also welcome to watch the video. If you think this is useful and there is anyone that you think may be interested or this may be useful to, please feel free to share this. Also, if I get anything wrong or if I miss any specific points or there's anything else that you would like to add to the video, please let me know in the comments. Anyways, so today I'm going to be talking about how to guard. Probably one of the most basic parts of the game, but actually many people apparently don't really know very well how to guard. Especially how to guard efficiently, mostly. So yeah, I hope this helps to get you into a better spot here. So first, I'm going to be talking about what shield is and what is the shield value. So basically, every card is going to have some kind of shield value, except for the order cards. But for unit cards, they will have either 5,000 normally for the normal units, 10,000 shield. Usually, it's going to be only for heal triggers, but only the ones that have effect on them. And there's also 15,000 shield, which is going to be present on heal triggers without any effects and the front triggers. And finally, we're going to have 50,000 shield, which is going to be present on the over trigger only so far. Then we have some special cases here, which are going to be the Sentinel cards, which basically these cards are going to allow you to guard one attack. Doesn't matter how big it is, and you can just use this one card in order to guard it. Well, in at least use it on the Guardian Circle. Basically, to use them, you have to place it on the Guardian Circle and discard one card from your hand. Some cases, they have effect that if you have one or less cards in your hand, then you don't really have to discard anything. So yeah, they're very useful and just really important in this game. Then we have units like the grade 3s. Usually they don't have any shield printed on them, but you can still use them as guardians because some of the grade 3s will have some effects when you place them on guardian, either from hand or from other part of the field. They will usually get some extra shield value. And of course there's the grade 3s that have no shield, but you can still just put them in case that you need to. And also we will have the order cards, which themselves don't really have any shield value, but they usually have, or some of them, especially blitz orders, will have defensive effects that will be helping you increase your Vanguard's power. So yeah, those are some of the most common cards that you will see. And then we will have the effect triggers. So there's so far there's I think 5 different effect triggers without counting over triggers, which are kind of their own thing. And the first one is going to be the draw trigger, which I would argue probably the most important of them all. Because draw triggers are included basically in almost every deck. Of course, there are exceptions. In some cases, you don't really want to use them, especially decks that tend to deck out very quickly or decks that actually already build up a lot of hand. But these effect draw triggers have this effect which will give them 5,000 shield. So basically, they will turn them into a 10,000 shield card. Then we will have the front triggers, which usually have 15,000 shield, but with this effect, they will get another 5,000, turning them into effectively just a 20,000 shield. Then we have 3 different type of heal triggers. The first one is going to have an effect that is going to add 15,000 shield to its own shield if the attacking unit has 2 criticals or more, and the critical was not increased because of as a result of a trigger effect. So if the base power is if the base critical is 2 or higher, or the critical was artificially increased by another card effect, which is not a trigger, then this heal is going to gain extra 15,000 shield only when guarding that attack. Then we have the other type of heal trigger, which also gains 15,000 shield, but in this case it's going to gain it only when the attacking unit has attacked for the second time or more. So, sorry, is attacking for second time or more. So if you use this to guard the first attack, it's going to be just a 10,000 shield, but if it's the second or later attack, it's going to be 25,000 shield. I think these two heal triggers in combination with the 15,000 one are probably the most used, and here it depends a lot on the meta or what's your preference, really. And we have the last heal trigger here, which is the 10,000 effect, 10,000 gaining trigger, which I think it's not so common to use in some cases only, because it's only useful when your opponent's Vanguard is a grade higher than your Vanguard. Mostly used if you're, let's say, going second, when your opponent's Vanguard is going to be at least one grade higher than yours, or if your opponent's playing like a stride deck or deck that needs grade 4 in their Vanguard and you're playing just grade 3 game. So yeah, most of the time not so used, especially because the shield value is not so high. But I think if it was 15,000, maybe it would be actually better, because the meta usually includes stride decks and they tend to be very powerful. And also we're gonna have some type of defensive effects and defensive orders. So here I placed 4 different cards that have 4 different types of effects. The first one is the Steam Fighter Argandia, and this card has an effect that when you place it on the Guardian Circle, it's going to gain 5,000 shield or 10,000 shield if your G-Zone has 1 face-up card or more, which is going to be the basically Generation Break. So yeah, it's either 5 or 10 or a 15,000 shield. And then we have the second card here, which is the Gear Sorrow of Magnetic Resonance, which basically doesn't gain any shield power, but it has one effect that you can use it basically to boost, and it's going to get extra 5,000 power, so it's just going to be a 13,000 attacker, or you can just 13,000 booster or attacker. And also you can use this card to intercept either from the front row or the back row. So yeah, this is also a very kind of useful effect. Some cards have them, and I really like it actually. And then there are going to be the Blitz orders. So most of the Blitz orders have some type of defensive effect. In this case, the Protection Twincast is going to give the attack unit 10,000 power until the end of the battle, but also it has another effect. You can use it from the drop zone. You just remove that card from the drop, and the attack unit is going to get 5,000 power for each grade of the unit that is attacking. So yeah, it's very useful. However, it's a Blitz order, so you have to remember that if you can only use 1 order per turn, including Blitz orders. So if you use this order, you cannot use another one the same turn, which includes the Elementaria of Sanctitude, which is also a Sentinel. So yeah, you can only run 4 Sentinels in your deck, and in this case, the Elementaria card, you can only run 1 of them. So just like the previous Sentinel I showed in the previous slide, basically this is going to help you guard completely one attack from any unit without you having to worry about the power. And the difference here is that this is an order sentinel, so basically you don't have to place it on the guardian circle, so you can just go around effects that guard restrict doesn't allow you to place sentinels on the guardian circle or place any grade 1s or higher, like such as Chronojet, for example. So yeah, in those cases this card is very, very useful. And of course there are some other cases where you can just even use this card's effect to completely get it for free. In the case of if your opponent has triple drive, then basically this effect is for free as well. So yeah, basically this is all of the defensive cards types. There may be some other effects that I am omitting here. If there's any specific one that you remember, please feel free to let me know in the comments. So now I'm going to go to the most basic part of the guarding, and basically this is going to be just protecting your cards from any attack. And the way it works is your opponent's card is going to be declaring an attack. Then you have to choose card from your hand or any other part of the field as long as it can be moved to the guardian circle. And then you have to add the shield power value to the attacked unit power, the current attack power. Yes. So it's, for example, in this case, I'm using Blankmeyer as an example where it has 13,000 power. If this was a Vanguard, then it would have a twin drive. So that means it's going to be checking 2 drive checks, and it has a chance to increase the power. So let's say we choose here a 15k shield to guard that attack, meaning that our Silverthorn Dragon Tamer Lukier is going to have 28 power. So that would mean Blankmeyer would need to check 2 triggers in order to hit the Lukier in this case. It's important to notice or remember that if the shield power or the total power of a card is the same as the attacking unit, the attack is going to be considered as a hit. So in this case, if this is your Vanguard is being attacked, you will be receiving 1 damage or 2, or the amount of criticals the attacking unit has. And if it's a rear guard, the one that is being attacked is going to be retired. Also, the cards placed on the guardian circle will more commonly be going to the drop zone, unless of course it's stated otherwise. So yeah. Now, there's some things that also you have to consider. First, yourself, your hand. You have to count your shield carefully at the end of your turn. Always remember your card's effects. If the shield value printed on the card is 1, you have to remember if the card has an additional effect that could change this value. So for example, in this sample hand here, we have around 40 to 50,000 power because we're considering the draw trigger as having an extra 5,000 shield, which will be a 10,000 guard. Then we have the heal trigger, which depending on how you use it, it's either 10,000 shield or 25,000 shield. And also we have this grade 2 here that has another effect that depending on how you use it, it's either just a 5,000, a 15,000 or a 10,000 shield. And also we have 1 PG and we have the Blitz order. So yeah, we have to count the amount of shield that you have. Also, it's important to count the amount of cards that you have in your hand. Usually you can use 1 card to guard at a time. Once you use that card from your hand, normally you cannot recover it the same turn. So that means that card is going to be used to guard at least 1 attack most of the time. So also you have to consider the amount of damage that you have, which means if you have 4 or 5 damage or less, maybe you can consider taking some damage and keeping your hand for next turns. Or if you're at 5 damage, or if you're at 4 damage and your opponent can potentially hit you with a critical, then you have to also take that into consideration. Either how you wanna guard that turn. So there's some questions that you have to ask yourself, such as, can you afford to take damage? And are there any cards in your hand that you may be needing for your next turn? So yeah, that's another very important point. It's very good to consider also to not just drop shield for the sake of just guarding, but sometimes you have to consider, if you can survive this turn, what is the most optimal way to do it, so the next turn you have at least something that you can do. It's very common to survive a turn and then just after the turn of your opponent is over, just think, oh wait, I could have guarded this other way. So yeah, just think about it. And talking about the opponent, then you have to also consider your opponent's field. So for example, here I'm using Dayusha as an opponent's field example, and here you have to consider the total power in the field, but not only the printed power, but also the potential power gains and the modifications that could happen via either persona ride, any other effects from any other cards, or if there's going to most likely something change during the battle phase. And also if there is any increased criticals. So that can also change a lot the way that you think about how to guard the opponent's turn. You can get an idea about the possible opponent's turn by just looking at their initial field, but also you can also think about how it's going to be better to guard once they start their battle phase, because most of the time that is the way it's going to be looking for the rest of the turn. Of course, I mean, I'm talking about the field, but the power usually changes. So yeah, I'm gonna be using this as an example, and let's try one kind of exercise here. So let's consider the previous field, and let's consider this as our example hand. And I'm gonna give some conditions. First, you're gonna have Generation Break 2, meaning that you have at least 2 cards face up in your G zone. Then also you will have 4 damage. And as for your opponent is going to start their turn by doing Persona Ride. Also, the rear guards that were shown previously were called from the soul during this turn. And so that means basically they will get their effects activated, meaning your Dayusha will have double critical, and also one of the rear guards has plus 2000 power. And the opponent is going to check a critical trigger, and it's going to give the power to Die Lady, and it's going to give the critical to Dayusha. Sorry, the other way around. It's going to give the critical to Die Lady and give the power to Dayusha. And on attack, Dayusha has an effect that is going to choose 2 of the rear guards with Dimensional Robo, and it's going to give them power. So in this case, it's going to give the power to Die Lady and Die Mariner. So let's please, you can pause the video and think about it for a moment. If you want, you can go back a little bit and just get a rough estimation or an idea of how it would be. And once you're done, let's continue with the next point. So yeah, if you're ready, let's go. This is the analysis, kinda. So first, you have to consider the opponent did Persona Ride. So that means instantly the front row is going to have an extra 10,000 power. Then, Dayusha, it's going to get 1 critical due to die battles. So the moment when the die battles is called from the soul to the rear guard, it's going to give Dayusha another critical, or it's going to just turn the original critical into 2. So then Dayusha is going to have 2 attacks. In this case, because he did Persona Ride, and we're going to consider it not having Goyusha in the bind zone yet, the first attack is going to be 2 drives, and the second attack is going to be just 1 drive. Here I messed up. I said 3 drives. It's just 2 drives and then just 1 drive. Then Die Marinier is going to get 2000 power because it was called from Soul, and also you cannot intercept during this turn, so we're not going to think about the field this time. And finally, Die Lady is going to be attacking your Vanguard, so on attack it's going to get another 10,000 power. So if we think about the columns, here the left column, which is Die Lady's column, is going to have 38,000 power. The Dayusha is going to have 23,000 power, but it's going to be attacking twice with double critical. And the right column here is going to have 30,000 power. Here I didn't consider yet the attack increase by Dayusha. And also I didn't consider yet the extra power that is going to be gained by the critical trigger. So now I'm going to be explaining what would be one of the ways to guard this. Now I'm just gonna give one way to guard. However, it doesn't mean it's maybe the best, and it doesn't mean it's the only one. But it's probably one of the best I could think about. So the first attack is most likely going to be Dayusha, because Dayusha is going to stand and it's going to be hitting again with double critical with potential trigger increase. So the first attack is going to be at 23,000 power with 2 critical. Now I chose here to guard the first attack with a perfect guard. Why? Because first I have the Twin Cast. I can use Twin Cast from my drop zone, and it's going to gain extra shield power from its use. And also Twin Cast has an effect that is going to give the attacked unit 5,000 power for each grade of the attacking unit. So if I chose to guard a grade 3 attack, it would give my attacked unit 15,000 shield. If I chose to guard a grade 2 attack, it's going to give my attack unit 10,000 power. So first attack is going to be 23,000 to critical. I choose to PG, so I don't really have to worry about any triggers in this case. Now, there is always going to be potential over trigger checked. In that case, probably there's nothing you can really do about it, and you basically would lose. So if you have more than 1 PG in your hand, probably it's fine to consider that point. But if you don't have any if you have no PGs, or if you have only 1 PG, you can just not worry about it, because anyways there's no point on worrying about it. So yeah, this was my first attack, my first guard I mean. And you could also probably guard with a heal trigger, the one that gets extra 15,000 power if the Vanguard is attacking with extra critical. However, I didn't choose to use this one because if I guarded with that one, that would be 2 to pass, and probably every trigger would be going to the Vanguard in this case, because Vanguard is going to be attacking twice. So here I'd rather just don't worry about it and just PG this one, and then just figure out how I will be guarding the next attack. So let's say here your opponent's Vanguard checked a critical trigger. It gave opponent gave the power to the Dayusha and the critical to Die Lady. So the second Dayusha attack would be 33,000 power attack. Here we're being just generous and thinking the opponent only has 2 set orders, so they just gave 5,000 power to Die Lady as well, and 5,000 power to Die Marinier. So Dayusha is going to be only 33,000 power with 2 criticals. Here, Dayusha will have only 1 drive check, and this drive check, again, I am not thinking about the overtrigger, could be it, but let's think it's not it. So if you guard for a 2-2 pass, that would be just enough. So here we can use the heal trigger that allows you to guard with 15,000 extra power if the attacking unit is attacking for 2 times or more. So that would be just 25 plus your 13. That would be the 38. So that is 1 to pass. And so we can add just Riley. Riley will get extra 5,000 shield. So that would be just 48, which is more than enough to guard this. So let's say your opponent attack, they check 1 trigger, and there is no triggers checked here. So basically, no more power is distributed in the field. Then, opponent is going to choose to attack with the rear guard, which has 35,000 power. In this case, you may want to take this attack because it's just 1 damage. You're 4 damage, so you get 1 trigger. So 1 trigger check. Of course, you don't get anything because you're very unlucky as usual. And yeah, you just kept your hand, and that was it for this, right? So just 35,000 power that you didn't really need to worry about. Here you could probably think maybe you can get a trigger, but I would recommend to never think about getting triggers because honestly, if you're me, it's never going to happen. Only when it doesn't matter. Usually, if it's the last attack or if it's the 6 damage, you will get just a critical. I mean, and you, with saying you, I mean me. So yeah, 35,000 attack, no guard that one, you get 1 damage, and you keep your hand. And for the last one, here is the tricky part. So, the Die Lady has 2 criticals, and it has 43,000 power because it got power increase by Dayusha. Let's say Dayusha gave the 5,000 power to the booster. This would be 48,000 power. That would mean basically you can just use the Gears Sorrow of Magnetic Resonance for extra 5,000 power, and you would be just enough to guard. But here, tricky thing is, Die Lady's critical was increased by a trigger. So that means the heal trigger is not going to have any extra power. So that's going to be at 10,000 power. So if we count here, that is 23 for your Vanguard. Then let's say again, as I mentioned before, you have 2 cards in your G zone face up. So you can Soul Blast 1 and use Argandia to get 15,000 shield. So that would be 23, 33, 38. You still need at least 10,000 power to guard this one. If you just look at your hand, you will see you have only 5, so that would be equal to 43, same as your opponent's attacking unit. However, if you remember, we previously discarded Twin Cast. So that Twin Cast has a very interesting effect, as I already mentioned before, and it's going to give your Vanguard 5,000 power for each grade of the attacking unit. So in this case, because we discarded Twin Cast, we can just remove it from the drop zone and give the 10,000 power to the Vanguard, making it a total of 48,000 shield, and not allowing this 4th attack to hit you, which would have been, of course, the end of the game if you didn't have that Twin Cast on your drop zone. Now, again, as I mentioned, there may be other ways to actually guard this this turn, but this was the one way I thought could be the most interesting to see. So you can see the usefulness of every single card in your hand. And in the end, like, did you notice? You could have, as I said, you could have guarded in many other ways. However, look at your hand. You have one Chronojet and you have one Grade 1, which is very important because also the next turn you will get one card for striding, and if you want to go into your next stage, you keep that card. And if you want to go into any other stride, well, in this case only Fade Rider, you can still use this Grade 3 card. Also, you gained one Counterblast, which is going to be very useful for activating your effects. And also you get your draw for your turn. So yeah, in the end, you could probably make the best you had with this hand, and you survive the turn. Again, I'm gonna repeat this once more. Maybe there was a different way to guarding, but I'm not sure if it could be better. If you want to try it yourself, please let me know if there's any other good options. So what I try to do here is keep in my hand as much as possible the cards that I would be needing my next turn if I didn't need to discard them. In the case of Chronojet, I could have discarded it with my PG, but I thought if I can survive different way, maybe I can use Chronojet for my comeback. And Gear Sorrow is just an extra booster in case I need it, or just a 5,000 shield in case I miscalculated a few numbers, or if there was something I didn't expect. So yeah, what do you think about it? I hope you enjoy this one. If it was a little bit confusing, that's sometimes how it is. So for conclusions, first, always consider your hand size and your shield. Always think about how many cards in your hand you want to finish your turn with. Optimally, of course. Some decks tend to finish with a lot of cards but actually no shield. Some decks tend to finish with a few cards but actually a lot of shield. Always try to be aware of the total power on your opponent's field. And if you don't know if your opponent is going to be increasing power via an effect of a card in their field, ask. Like really, sometimes because people don't ask, they just lose. And that includes me as well. Sometimes I just don't ask, I just assume things are the way they look, and suddenly there's one effect that I didn't notice, and yeah, there goes my game. Also, don't ever expect your damage to be a trigger. You can hope for it to be a trigger, but never expect it's going to be a trigger. So when you're gonna consider guarding, never consider trigger buff. If it happens, it's just a miracle, and for me, miracles usually don't happen. So yeah, I'm always trying to think how I can guard with my hand. Also, something important, always expect your opponent to check at least one trigger on their drive checks. So yeah, that way maybe you can just consider keeping your hand in a different way. So if your opponent checks a trigger, you at least already expected that to happen. If they don't check it, that is extra shield that maybe you can redistribute somewhere else. Again, if possible, just keep your hand as much as you can. Don't just throw shield because you can. Sometimes you will regret it. And try to not overguard because sometimes you will need that extra shield. In some cases, your opponent's attacking with 18,000 power. You just need 10,000 power or 10,000 shield, and some people just drop 15. In some cases, that is okay because that's probably the only thing that you have. But if you have different options, try to be as conservative as possible because that extra shield usually matters. So yeah, anyways, that's it for today. If there's anything I am missing, or if there's any suggestions about what I said, or something completely wrong, please let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed, and if you like this video, feel free to let me know. Share with someone that you think this would be very useful too, or if you don't think it's useful, just also you can let me know. Anyways, have an amazing time and see you around next time. Bye bye.